Get ready to quit the build. The QTB crew is rounding up all the gaming news and hot topics of the week with a little extra something. And here are your hosts, Bruno, Brad, and Nick.
What it do? You are listening to the QTB podcast. I'm your host, Bruno, and with me, the boys from Crash and the Boys. What it do? We got Nick and Brad. That's what I'm talking about. How's it going, fellas? It's November 1st.
It
We've
is.
passed Halloween. Well, you know, it was one of those days, right? It was like, missed
it's
it.
the post Halloween hangover. I've been eating too much candy.
Oh,
I feel that. I'll tell you. I just got on the scales there and I said, wait a second. I had how many Reese's Take Fives? You know, I had how many payday bars? It's payday. It's payday for my BMI, I guess.
whoa.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, I even saw there's new candy bars out there. I was talking to Nick in the pre-show. You know, I saw a Snickers peanut butter candy bar. I've never heard of that before. It's the first time.
Snickers,
I don't know what's happening.
We
Not
need to get this
Snickers.
guy out more. We need to
Snickers
get this guy
almond.
out more.
There's Snickers like midnight, but I'd never seen a Snickers peanut butter.
You've heard of Snickers almond? That's how you know you're from California, when you've heard of Snickers almond, but you haven't heard of Snickers
That's a deep
peanut
pull.
butter yet.
Yeah.
That is a deep pull.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just saying, but it was really good. And of course, you know, I mean, so I've rated the kids' candy bowl today. I've had too much candy, but that means I'm hyped up for the podcast.
I feel like the next 10 minutes you're gonna crash.
That's that winner
And
says
the boys.
PB cups all the way. See, this is what I want to do. I wanted to have an exchange program where you can come in and, you know, come to the house and I'll take your Reese's cups. And if you give me Reese's cups, I'll give you extra candy and maybe like a glow stick. You know what I mean? And then that way kids bring me Reese's candy, like any Reese's candy.
So you'd be the candy dealer on Halloween. Like, go do your trick-or-treating, come to my house when you're done, and then we'll do a little candy exchange. I like it.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll take all those, you know. Or you could do whatever. I mean, if you're Nick and your favorite thing is payday, then all you have to do is just tell the children, I would like your paydays, and they'll go, sure, sir, here's this now.
Please just take them. All I will say is, on one of our recent live streams, someone said, Nick, I said I have some like fun-sized paydays in my pantry, and they're like, Nick, you have to go get them and eat on stream. I'm like, I don't normally eat on stream, but they're like, Nick, no, you're being forced to do this. So I went and I got it, and I ate the payday, and I'm like, you know what? It's a good candy bar, okay? All right? And I'm looking at you, Caitlin. Thank you. Shout out to Caitlin from one of our moderators in the live streams. We call her the stream mom now, because she is obsessed with paydays, and you know it's kind of rubbing off on me a little bit.
I feel like that barely cracks my top 10. It barely cracks my top 10. Like,
but
it's kind of a niche, but like
you're saying it does.
No, it's like fringe. It's like maybe 10.
So you're saying you have heard of it?
I can't even name 10 candy bars.
Don't get me started.
I can name 10. I can name like Reese's Crispy Crunch, Reese's Sticks, Reese's Big Cups, Reese's Regular Cups, Reese's Thins. Like I give you all the Reese's, but like
Snickers, Twix, Milky Way, Almond Joy.
Which, by the way, let's be honest,
York Peppermint
Milky
Patty,
Way,
Reese's.
Still going.
Milky
Three
Way,
Musketeers,
3 Musketeers, and Snickers.
Crunch. You know, Hershey's regular, Hershey's dark.
That's 10.
You know, we've got Mr. Good Bar.
What have you done, Bruno?
I mean,
you have awoken something in Brad. This might be the longest Brad monologue we've had in the history of the podcast. Just naming candy bars.
Whoppers. I mean, that's not really a candy bar, but it's you know, dots. You get the little boxes of dots at, you know, Halloween.
Are you pulling out dots? If you give me a dot, I'm going to throw that in your face. I will throw a jujube at a child, okay? If you give me a dot or a jujube, don't even think about a Mike and Ike either. I will hit Mike.
Sour Patch Kids, Swedish Fish, Good and Plenty.
Okay.
I mean.
Okay. Clearly what needs to happen here.
Is as bad as Mike and Ike.
See,
it's a worse version of Mike and Ike.
we thought you were going to be the beer guy, Bruno or Brad, but now that we're more family friendly, maybe you should be the candy guy. We could have like a new podcast called Candy Barrad. Okay, where it's just Brad reviewing candy, one bar per episode. That's it. Candy Barrad.
You're gonna be like that guy, that kid who's the guy that does the really serious fast food reviews and has had the
My disappointment is immeasurable.
That kid.
And my day is ruined.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Crunch Bars.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, I don't know where this is coming from. I'm all about it because honestly, the articles may not be as long as usual. They're kind of a slow news week. So, hey, just talk about it. It's not even about what we normally do, which we say, what have you been playing this week? It's what candy you've been eating this week.
Yeah.
Okay.
What candy did you eat? What candy did you grab from Halloween? What are you stealing?
What'd you take
from
your
your child's?
100 grand bars, 100 grand bars, Twix, peanut M&Ms, and Almond Joys.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Almond Joys. Interesting choice. Mm-hmm.
Reese's.
Almond Joys are great. Coconut with an almond on
I'm
not
a
top.
coconut guy. I gag with coconut. I can't do it.
I'm not an almond guy. I mean, almonds.
Butterfingers are out there. I mean, come on. There's so many. Like that's what I'm saying. Payday barely scratches the top 10. That's all I'm saying.
That's a valid excuse. It's a valid excuse. If a candy bar is sent into the bathroom, then what's the point? What's the point? Oh man!
I got wrappers over here right before the show. Little pre-show snack.
Yeah, he was totally ready for this conversation. That's why there's a pile of wrappers
That's why
near
we got
the
more
screen.
for Brad. We just if you want Brad to talk more, send him Snickers and
100 grand bars. There you go.
100 grand bars.
Oh my gosh!
Those are hard to find. They only show up in the variety packs. They're very hard to find by themselves.
That's like Crackle. They Spaghetti Pizza said that. Okay. The Crackle bars, right? Like, when have you seen a big Crackle bar? Ever? I don't think I've ever seen one.
No.
I don't think they exist.
They don't make it. It's like Mr. Good bars. Like, you might get them in like the little fun size packs, but like,
and that's
not really.
They come together.
It's hard. It is hard to find them, but you can find them in big bars in the candy aisle at like a grocery store or something. So
shout out to our listeners. Drop in the comments what you've been rating today, what you've been eating post Halloween. What's candy bar of your choice?
Yeah,
and let us know. That way, if you're on Team Brad, let me know, or if you're Team Bruno over there, or even Nick with the paydays. I mean, come on. Like
I thought we would be debating paydays, but there is a conversation right now in chat about Almond Joys. That's the whole chat right now is just Almond Joys. We've derailed this podcast and we haven't even started. I'm all about it. And I'll tell you, you mentioned variety packs of candy there, Brad. Okay. And I think that there's one variety pack you'll love to see come together. It's the boys of QTB, Quit the Build. Okay, because just push the button, Bruno. Just push it. He was ready. Because we are going to be heading over to Winner Live Arcade in just under a week, guys. The big Vegas trip is happening soon, and you're going to see us right there on site at Winner, doing the stuff, doing the promo machines, recording the podcast, and a whole lot more. And don't forget, guys, that November just started, which means Mariah Carey has gone into every Spirit of Halloween store and harvested their tills and souls to maintain her immortality and activate Christmas time. But for now, the temps are still in that fall sweet spot, and there's nothing better than a cool fall's day than curling up on the couch with the Winner Live Arcade app. And don't forget, guys, that your first win is free anytime that you download with our link. Plus, if you use our promo code Dale when recharging your tokens at pay.app.winnerwinner.com, you are going to get a sweet deal with 30% bonus tokens on your next purchase. The link is in our show notes or the description of this episode on YouTube. Thanks, as always, to our friends at Winner. Look, and I got to tell you something. Cut the music. Because this is a big deal. A lot of people may not know this. Okay, so the history of QTB, right? Originally a Halo 5 clan. I explain this all the time in our live streams that people ask what Quit the Build is and where it came from. And I said, when two gamers love each other very much, then no. But what I did say was is that both Bruno and myself go back a long ways back to grade school, like third grade at our private school, Faith Christian Academy. So we've been friends for a long time. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
And this meetup is going to be the first time that we've seen each other in like 15 years. Brad, it's going to be the first time I've seen ever. So in person, the boys at QTB are getting together. And I don't know what's going to happen, but we're just going to be we're going to hit record, whatever it is. Yep. Okay.
Store.
Are we sure about that? Hangover QTB edition.
Oh boy.
Only available on Patreon.
That's right. Yes.
That's right.
Yes. That's Patreon exclusive content. Oh my gosh. But yes, guys.
We're the three best friends that anyone could have. We're the three best friends that anyone could have.
Oh.
Well, that's nice. That's sweet.
Speaking of which, you said Mariah Carey. She's on her TikTok game this year. Did you see her latest TikTok? I mean, she was sitting on that. She was going from being a witch to like the calendar changing. It was like snap of the fingers and here it comes.
Amazing. But yeah, just a huge week up ahead, guys. So the kind of schedule of events this Tuesday. That's going to be November the 8th. We're going to kick off the festivities there at Winter Winter. We're going to be recording our podcast there, but we're actually also going to be, over the course of the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, recording content for social media. We're going to be doing lives on property and even stuff off property as well. And then Wednesday and Thursday night is when it's really going to get fun because we're going to have streams from our QTB network partners, our streaming partners, both Kung Fu Penguin and Enzo is Mad. And while they are playing, we're going to be on premises messing with the machines and having fun. It's going to be a blast. So definitely check that out. And I mean, you guys excited? It's almost time. Brad, you ready to do this thing, man?
I mean, I'm excited for our community to be able to a full week of QTB with Winter. So much to look forward to, so much to tune into. Now is the time to download the app and get yourself ready because you can be playing with us next week. That's all I'm saying. We're going to be there. So now's the time to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm almost ready. I'm going to have to get heavily medicated for the plane ride. Luckily,
you and me both.
These guys are picking me up at night, and I won't be,
right.
I'll be.
Bruno is getting on the plane for all of you guys. That's all I got to say. The dude doesn't fly, but he's doing it for you.
Is that how they knock people out these days? With a stinger? Yeah.
Poison.
Bat. Oh, man. So funny. Yes. Alrighty. Well, guys, there is some video game news to talk about here, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. The big story for today. This is an interesting one. Yeah, thank you. And I just beat Cuphead on stream. I had to mention this. I did it for the initial QTB Spectacular. I circled back and finished it because we did Luigi's Mansion, and I got a little overconfident. I'm like, oh, no problem. I'm going to pop back in there and beat the final boss of Cuphead with no warm-up whatsoever. That took me a little while. Yeah. That's the closest I've gotten to salty on a live stream. But your boy got there. We got it done together. I may have been a little quiet, but the credits rolled. That's all I will say. So this story from notebookcheck.net talking about IKEA, of course, the famous furniture assembly store, sues an indie game developer over a survival horror game set in a furniture store. So this is one of those stories of just, someone, an indie content creator just trying to create some art. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what it would sound like if you were inside an IKEA at 2 a.m. with the lights out, coming from the meatball production part of the...
What the heck was that?
Wait a second. Were the meatballs? Da, da, da. Yeah. But this story... Yeah. Is referring
keep
to
going. I'm gonna give you the scenario, right?
Yeah, he's giving us all the Halloween sound effects that he couldn't get to last week, Brad.
Exactly.
Because our episodes kind of landed, on either side of Halloween. I understand. He's got to offload these things, right? We pay good money for those.
He's got to clear the board. Yeah,
he's got to clear the board
and check that and check that and something else called Death's a Dance.
Oh, we'll get to that one for sure. Because IKEA has sued developer Jacob Shaw, who resides in the UK, created this kind of horror game experience that's currently still in development, but is close to release, called The Store is Closed. And the concept of it is a very simple and I think fun one, which is you go inside of this mega, furniture store, right? And, it does bear some resemblance in terms of like the color scheme and that kind of thing of IKEA, but never references it directly. And when you go in, the store closes unexpectedly, right? That classic horror scenario. The doors are locked. You're stuck in there overnight. And then you find out that, at nighttime, that's when the home and garden section comes to life. And, you're being chased by all manner of sentient plastic plants. Yeah.
All manner of, as per usual, when you're in. And as one does. Here's the obviously, right? I mean, I've dabbled a lot in parody law in my time and towed the line, as it were. And I gotta say that this is kind of a frivolous lawsuit for them, because all it's going to take is another paint job and it'll be right back up there again. Mm-hmm. You don't own furniture stores, right? Like you don't have a TM on furniture stores in general, so you can't sit there and be like, you can't use this, So obviously a lot of the coloring and the style of it looked very IKEA-esque, and I can see why they would do that. I will say that oftentimes it depends on how good of a job you've done in the, with changing things around. It might be frivolous for them to really go after it. But I will say that
the name's hilarious. So they called it another Swedish name, Stir, STYR. Like, I mean, like
going to the Stir.
Like it could have been anything, but they did give it a Swedish moniker. So, like, I mean. I think IKEA's done him a solid. Not to say that these independent game developers don't get a lot of publicity, but man, this guy's getting so much visibility now on this game because of this. And if you, like you said, Bruno, if you just make some subtle changes, the game's going to be back up there. His Kickstarter is going to get blown out of the water. Like this is a case of any publicity is good publicity. It has to be.
Oh, for sure. Mm-hmm. And this is oftentimes some, these big companies that go after these small indie developers, small artists or anything like that, really have no grounds to stand on when it comes to these types of things. Parody law protects the artist, typically the person that's doing the parody, for the most part. As long as you aren't using the actual name of things, then you can really get around doing it. And it's more of a scare tactic.
Right.
They use it to scare you into pulling it or changing it in some way. And that might be the case, right? That they change a few things for here. If I were the indie developer, here's what I'd do. I'd contact a lawyer that knows, copyright law. And I would say, like, what really needs to be changed here, send it through compliance, and figure it out, because it's not enough to really warrant taking down the game. Brad, do you think there's any merit there?
I'm with you. I mean, we see this all the time. If you check out our blog, a little ways back, I did a few articles on game-inspired beers, and the brewing industry, the beer industry does this all the time. Local breweries pull inspiration and parody, naming a lot of their beers into gaming references and other cultural references, and they take enough of a liberty to spin the can artwork, to spin the name in a way that definitely indicates a reference, but is not close enough to warrant these types of potential lawsuits or cease and desist, type of efforts from these large brands. So I think this is another case of that, a little tweaking here and there, get the right people involved to say, hey, you make these 3 changes, you're in the clear, and this goes away. And now you've gotten national visibility for something that really maybe wasn't going to warrant as much attention.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation because I think you're right, Brad, about the press aspect of it. That this person's getting major, a lot of major platforms are covering this story, and so many. I probably would have never heard of the game if it wasn't for this article. But I will say that the developer it kind of spooked him into compliance. He said that he will comply with the request to make the necessary changes, and on pretty short notice, because he is very much trying to just make everybody happy, and you just can't do that. In a statement to Kotaku, This was IKEA saying, "We think it's flattering that others are inspired by the IKEA brand. We must be diligent to ensure that the IKEA trademarks and trade dress are not misapplied." And they're trying to look at all of these different, things. Oh, like the gray floor in the store is similar to ours, and the way that the catalog looks is similar to ours. And I'm not going to play devil's advocate. This is ridiculous. If anything, like IKEA is an institution. You're not doing any damage. And what makes me wonder is, like, what is the law offices of whoever is representing
Turgen,
IKEA.
Sturgen, and Stein.
Yeah, exactly. You also have to assemble that crew from with an Allen wrench. That's for sure. Is that? Thank you. Is that they must be having nothing else to go after legally, that like someone actually found this game and is like, oh, this is what we're going to make a big deal out of, because they're going to the actual press. They actually wrote a statement to Kotaku, the lawyers did, of the specifics of why they want this to happen. And my thing is, really, it works both ways. I'm not going to look at a horror game that's based on IKEA and think, oh my gosh, I'm never going to go to an IKEA again. Are you kidding me? I still go to IKEA. I love it.
If anything, it would prompt more people
together
to go to IKEA and check it out, right? Like, does this look like my local store?
It's like, wait, the Flurm is really only $5? Is that
I didn't know I could get accurate? The Sturg.
Yeah.
I have to say, I'm looking at some of the screenshots, and there's one that shows an advertisement for the food court, and it says Swedish meat now 79% flesh. So like, I can see why, like, they don't want to be assumed that they're serving human flesh to the to the world. Like,
that's what set them off. You don't go after the meatballs. You go after the furniture.
Yep.
You don't go after the meatballs.
No,
okay.
You don't touch our Swedish meatballs. They are a national treasure.
Sure. Yeah. That's why they sell them. Yeah. Let me know when you see IKEA meatballs.
For you. Swedish meatballs and Swedish fish.
And chefs.
Swedish fish.
Fish, chefs, and meatballs. Yep.
That's where we're at, baby. We need a Swedish. We need a jingle, Nick. We did poutine. Now we need something about Swedish meatballs. Come on.
By the way, I'm pretty sure to the developer of this game, Jacob Shaw, I'm pretty sure that the Muppets won't go after you. They're pretty cool. So if you want to add in, like, at night, you're in the store, and all of a sudden in the distance you hear an echo, oh no, here comes the Swedish chef, who may or may not, he's the Scandinavian cook. That's his name.
That would be funny to see in Gary's mod. Right? Have you seen that new popular one where they like upload memes and then the memes like chase them around this like hotel?
Yes.
I've been sending stuff to Brad on Instagram of like different ones. It would be hilarious to get Swedish Chef in there with the
Oh man, this episode is incredible. Can I just say that, listeners, everyone, this is top-notch quality right here.
The chat said during the TikTok stream, they're like, this is a fever dream. And that's like, well, that's pretty much what the podcast is every week, with a little bit of news sprinkled in.
It's a fever dream with a rough format. Yeah, that's
exactly.
It. Yeah. If a fever dream had show notes, that would be the QTB podcast.
Yeah, I heard that IKEA's in
my
Mississippi,
dream journal,
right?
my fever dream journal.
Oh man, too funny though. I mean, it's a shame. I think this game was going to do well either way, because I will say this game, and it's kind of one of those endless procedural things, and that's kind of the whole idea, is creating that sense of like dread of like when you're inside of an IKEA store and like you're all the way back in like the living room section, and to get anywhere, it's like you got to pass through 12 other rooms. I think what they were trying to do here is kind of capitalize on the success of the Backrooms, which is a horror series and games as well. That is wildly popular right now. I want to say it was like a teenage videographer that filmed this really surreal and really in a lot of ways psychological horror miniseries about this person that like falls through this like no clips through like a floor and ends up in this weird space where it's like this ominous yellow lights. Liminal space. Yep.
Yeah. So
and there's a whole lore behind
that's just basically a liminal space is something that's like familiar, but it lacks a human touch to it. And that might be something like an empty office building, right? Or like an empty school at night. And so this is very much that feeling. It's not that IKEAs are creepy. And I think that's where they kind of are missing the point. It's the fact that what's creepy is a space that is so normally, hustling and bustling around is now empty. And that creates this weird space where, it looks like humans have lived, or been there. And that's essentially what liminal spaces are. You can look them up on YouTube. There's some crazy videos out there. I don't personally see them as scary. I know a lot of people, it gives them like eerie feels.
Yeah.
It doesn't look that scary to me because we grew up in the 90s. So that's literally what our schools look like. They just look like that. That's what the 90s looked like. It was liminal spaces everywhere.
Plus, we watched malls die. So liminal spaces were us going to JCPenney's. Like that was nothing new.
Mervyn.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's more nostalgic for us than scary.
Is there an Auntie Anne's over there? Auntie Anne's pretzels? Is there a Orange Julius? There's got to be one right around the corner.
Right around the corner. And that's the thing, right? You turn the corner and it's this other hallway that's like, endless, right? Similar to IKEA. So IKEA really fits the liminal space narrative really well. And the fact that he kind of chose that as the jumping off point, I think is great. But we see this type of parody all the time in video games. So it's not like this is the first time anyone's ever decided to parody a real life thing. Look at Burger Shot, on the Grand Theft Auto series, right? Or Up and Atom is the In-N-Out clone in the Grand Theft Auto series. So they do a lot of things to really toe the line between realism and then that just parody of reality. And I think that with the right lawyer and the a few changes here and there, like they said, if the floor was that big of a deal, throw down some carpet, right?
So here's a question.
Texture.
Could the metaverse face a similar challenge? Like if they start like incorporating like could companies have like a digital footprint with digital like legal grounds to like protect their brands in the metaverse? Like, I mean,
you're assuming that the metaverse actually takes off.
Yeah,
well I'm assuming, right? Like,
so let's preface the fact that Facebook has lost $700 billion
it's meta, Bruno.
in the pursuit in pursuit of Meta. Oh, sorry,
they'll sue us for using the wrong term. Yeah,
you're right. Meta has lost $700 billion in this pursuit, and now it's started to take a toll on Zuckerberg. Mark has lost $11 billion of his own money in trying to keep Meta afloat. Which, if you think about it, really. Think about $700 billion split between 35 people, because that's about the user base that the metaverse has right now.
Really investing in their users.
Really investing in that.
Yeah.
I really don't need $700 billion. I need enough to cover my student loans. And I feel like that would be more of an economical investment, because then I could buy more and then stimulate the economy myself alone. Yeah. Because Mark Zuckerberg helped me out.
Yeah, you'd pay off 2/3 of all student loan bills for everybody. I think the student loan is like 1.2 trillion. So you'd yeah,
wow.
Exactly. Instead of pursuing the frivolous metaverse that they are. And you're right. Like I don't. That's what I think they're hoping for, right? They're hoping to eventually capitalize on these digital spaces and say, hey, we do have, our namesake in some way. I foresee this being a real jumping off point for IKEA, because I personally think like this is a virtual store would be right up IKEA's
Or you
alley.
can walk through it digitally and like shop and then order online.
Yeah, like that's what I see. Really, I see, brick and mortar stores dying all the time, right? We grew up going to the mall, and I've seen them since die. But IKEAs are one of those things where everybody loves that affordable furniture.
Yeah.
You know, and the stuff that all, you know, pretty much you can get everything you need from the house, you know, for your house or for your dorm, especially for college kids. So if you could take a walk through those, you know, that store and see what it's like, life size, then it would be a little easier. I think those are the ways that we're going to incorporate something like meta in the world, you know, is organically and not, you know, forced down our throats.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to take that poll with our audience. Who has never like owned a piece of IKEA furniture or like something from IKEA? I mean, I'd love to find that person and ask, you know, have you been living under a rock? Because I feel like we all at one point in time have owned some sort of IKEA furniture. Everyone's owned like a side table, a coffee table, a dresser, something, right? I mean, we've all had it at some point.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. I do have the poll running right now asking if people want the candy bar ad podcast. And yeah, 100% said yes. So, all right, well,
hey,
you know,
all right.
Who are we to argue with the people? You know,
you can't.
Well, you'll get fun size episodes. You know, maybe a king size every now and then if no one's looking. Yeah. I'm here for you. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you one thing, guys. You know, we're talking about IKEA and things you got to assemble. I'll tell you one amazing place to go where no assembly is required, and that's when you support us right there on Patreon, okay? First of all, a big thank you to our... A ton of value
too.
Just like the meatballs. Oh my gosh. And no assembly required. Okay, so thank you to our QTB and Fuego supporters, Epic Capture Productions, Matt.Bat, and Alexa, and our QTB Plus supporters, Nick, the Dudist Monk, Indie Gamiacs, Alan Abadessa, Mr. Grove Games, the Intergalactic Pinecone, and Fluffy Bunny. If you would like a shout out on each and every episode of the QTB podcast, plus amazing perks like our huge back catalog of monthly Nostalgia Vault bonus podcasts talking about the food, the games, the movies of yesteryear. It's a blast to the past. You're going to love it if the 90s, 2000s it was your time to shine. Be there with us on the Nostalgia Vault, again, at quitthebuild.com, or rather patreon.com/quitthebuild. Thanks, as always, to our supporters on there. Tiers start as low as $2 per month, and on the higher tiers, you'll also get exclusive merch that you can't get anywhere else. Also, guys, want to give a big shout out to one of our long-term supporters there on the QTB Plus tier, Alan Abadessa. He is a game developer. We interviewed him, Bruno, a while back there about Little Ghost, his game that he was working on at the time. And as of yesterday, Little Ghost just came out of a Kickstarter, fully funded. Super happy for him because it is awesome. It is very much a passion project, and Alan has been a friend of the show, so we are super excited and cannot wait to play the full version of that game. Congrats to you, Alan. Fun. Yeah, he's got he's busy though. I know he's got a lot of work ahead of him. Once you fund it, that's the first step. And you got to do the stuff, do the things.
The things.
So, yeah. And speaking of doing the things, guys, our next story, it's really more of just a fun little fluff piece from IGN talking about this new commercial that has come out. And, you know, every now and then, like, you know, these AAA studios will invest in star power to really be self-aware and just poke a lot of fun at their own brand and just sell a game in a really unique way. And I think Sony 100% hit the ball out of the park with this ad. This is a commercial from John Travolta, Ben Stiller, and LeBron James, of all people, attending a Kratos counseling session in this God of War trailer, of course, for the upcoming God of War Ragnarok game. And I'm going to tell you, you know, first of all, seeing Ben Stiller in full, you know, war paint. He's got the armor on. He's got the scar on his eye, but still like that normal, like Ben Stiller hair.
Still Zoolander.
Like, they kind of went all out. Yeah.
But, you know, it's not completely out of the realm of like craziness, because if you watch him in all his movies, Ben Stiller's actually in phenomenal shape. Like, the dude's like fit. Like, you look at him in like Dodgeball when he plays White Goodman, like the dude's ripped. Yeah. Like, so it's not too crazy. It's not like you. Exactly, and that's why he could step in and be a Kratos. I mean, like, you know, yes, the hair, I get it, but like he actually didn't look too bad in the outfit. So,
but yeah, this commercial is honestly it's a long trailer. It kind of feels like a commercial, but in a way, it's really just kind of a traditional kind of YouTube style trailer for the upcoming God of War game, which is set to release very soon. And
Does the
yeah,
costume
they
help? Yeah,
does the
you wear a
costume exactly. Yeah, so the premise of this is that Kratos and his son, which is just like a normal, just run-of-the-mill 16-year-old, 17-year-old, is he makes sure to let that be known, is kind of creating this counseling service where they are just sitting there and all these other celebrities are coming through and like, you know, he's just saying like, oh, here's how I parent and here's how you can parent. So it's kind of almost like a therapy style thing. Like that was like a couples therapy, but not really. And honestly, like, so funny. I mean, so when LeBron James comes in and like there are, you know, his son is making all these just like jabs, like I'd rather play against you than with you. And then, then Ben Stiller says, "There's some shots you can't block."
Emotional damage.
I have to say, first of all, to have them pull LeBron James, first of all, big bucks, right? But also his son Bronny's up and coming, and LeBron is trying to stay in the league long enough to play with his son on the same team. Like he's come out publicly and said he wants to do that. And then on top of that, Bronny's not only a high recruit in basketball, I think he's a senior in high school this year. He's an avid gamer. Like he's a semi-professional gamer on the side. So there's a huge dynamics here, not only of having LeBron in the commercial, but his son Bronny, I think, has his own following on his own social media platforms for the younger generation, and to have it be a father-son combo here and be in that interaction with Ben Stiller as Kratos, it really checks a bunch of boxes for Sony here in terms of their marketability with different demographics. I mean, that alone was huge. So, I mean, that the combination of that, there's so many plays and ties to what's going on in real life that this was, I agree with you, Nick. This was a home run for them for marketing for this game.
You love to see it, and as Ben Stiller said as Kratos at the end of that session with LeBron, he said, "I think we're having a breakthrough. I lost it. I lost it. You know, as far as dad jokes or just simple puns go, that's really all I need." You know, Bruno, looking at commercials like this, what's your take on it? And I think a great segue here is, you know, what are some of your favorite video game commercials growing up? Because we were around for an era of gaming commercials where it was the Wild West, where you had Crash Bandicoot, you know, in a crude costume, yelling at Nintendo with a megaphone. But there were so many others. You know, what are some of your favorite video game commercials? This could be a Patreon episode, honestly.
Definitely. I feel like that's definitely one of them. It's so memorable, right? And for those of you who don't know, like, PlayStation came out swinging against Nintendo, and there's a really, really good documentary on Paramount Plus called Console Wars. And if you're into video game history or anything like that, I really suggest you watch it. It's a great watch, and it's basically about Sega taking on Nintendo and how we got so many different things from the battle between Sega and Nintendo, like Tuesdays, like the fact that game releases are on Tuesdays for the most part, updates are on Tuesdays because of Sonic 2. You know, they decided to release it globally on one day as Sonic Tuesday. So I remember all the marketing campaigns from these that, you know, that really pushed hard against, you know, one or the other. And then you got to realize here comes PlayStation, right? PlayStation comes out and they say, well, they approached Sega and they were like, let's build something. Let's team up. And they were like, nah, we don't really need you. And then they approached Nintendo, and Nintendo was like, yeah, that actually sounds really good. And they came up with something called the Nintendo PlayStation. And apparently, you know, there were some development back and forths, and Sony decided to launch that console themselves with the Sony PlayStation, and the rest is history, right? And so they came out swinging against Nintendo by sending their star character Crash Bandicoot, some 35-year-olds, you know, chain smoking dude out there in this crude costume with a megaphone out front of Nintendo saying, "Hey, plumber boy," like,
oh my gosh,
you know, calling them out. And you know, that trend of like really crazy video game commercials really kept going, right? Like I remember the Nintendo 64 Super Smash Brothers commercial, Imagine Me
there.
and You. That's a great one, right? And then you move into move into the future, like current gen consoles, and we've got like some of the Halo commercials, that the live action Halo commercials have been, almost like a mini series, right?
Yeah.
I remember the Call of Duty Black Ops commercial too, where it was like, normal people.
So great.
People dressed like a businesswoman, an ice cream man, and they're like walking through shooting a rocket launcher, and like you're like, it's you. It was a complete play on you're the one behind the scenes, right? Actually playing the game. So,
so that's that's I will say it's so great when you finally have a game that you're hyped about and it gets a great marketing push behind it. It gets you more hyped for that game, and I honestly have full faith in PlayStation and Santa Monica Studios. Isn't that the studios that does this, I
believe so. Yeah,
God of War. Yeah. So I have full faith in them that they're going to release a great game, right? Like I have no reason to doubt that this won't be, touted as a great game by all the PlayStation fanboys and IGN and whatnot. But I will say that in the past, we've been burned by some of these really big marketing pushes, right? With like, Halo and Call of Duty, where it just kind of fell flat.
I knew it was coming.
Like I said, I know this is not going to be the case with this. I'd bet money on it, right? That it's going to be a good release, because I have no reason to think that it won't be. But it is disappointing, right? When you get these great big marketing pushes, you're super hyped for a game, you were excited about it before, and then you kind of get, just kind of left in the dust, and it's not what you expected.
Right.
Maybe that's too much hype in some of these expectations with Call of Duty, right? Whereas this is a more approachable, good marketing push that takes a little bit of the humor in something that is not a very humorous game, right? Like there's not it's not known for its humor, right? Like they're not pushing that envelope. So for them to go that juxtaposition, I think is really clever.
But play on the father-son dynamic that exists in the video game, right? Like it's super clever.
Yep.
It's super clever.
Yeah, it's very, very, very clever. And like I said, that's why I think it's a good balance. I think that it's the right type of marketing push that says, we're not going to make it seem like it's this action-based thing where, you've got this, that we're really going into the father-son story here. And we've shown that with some levity through this commercial. I think they're going to knock it out of the park. I think this is something that will definitely elevate PlayStation in its current form, because, Xbox doesn't really have that right now. They don't have that one exclusive that they're pushing, that they're like, hey guys, this is the game that you need to buy this console for, right? Because it definitely ain't Halo. It's definitely not.
I knew this was going to come up. I knew it.
They're not going to do that. So this is the PlayStation bread and butter. This is why people get a PlayStation, is for something like God of War or Uncharted. So this is a big win for Sony fans and PlayStation 5 owners for sure.
I got to ask you, Nick, I know LeBron has a lifetime contract with Nike, right? And I mean, the terms of that are undisclosed, but rumored to be $1 billion, right? So to get not only him, but his son, who can now sign NIL deals and get sponsored as an amateur, along with Travolta and Ben Stiller, you got to wonder, what was the cost to, procure the talent, and who in management said, here are the projections we see that would warrant spending this money from a business side on this commercial.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if there's one exclusive that you're going to market heavily, it's got to be Ragnarok. I think Bruno's right that the market is prime right now, because Xbox, for all of its success with Game Pass, the first party angle has been very weak this year.
Yeah.
So I think there is a very much an
I'm not delusional, listeners. I'm not a fan of. Listen, I call it like it is. Like it is. I'm not going to sit there and beat around the bush. Like this is a big win for PlayStation, and Xbox definitely needs to have something in their back pocket. Go, Nick.
Okay.
Go. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Look, every podcast is just us figuring out about how we're going to circle things back to Halo. It's just like the circular nature of the Halo itself. All things in this podcast lead back to our origins in Halo before we were even content creators. I'd love to see it. So, I think it is amazing. And I will say, I think because they went this kind of, in a sense, low budget route of just have a bunch of people in a room talking, right? Just a talking head style commercial. You had to pay a little bit for Ben Stiller's outfit, and everyone else just shows up in like street clothes. Easy times. Read the script, get a few takes in. It makes perfect sense. And I think, Bruno, you hit the nail on the head talking about how exciting it is when a game you like gets a big marketing push. It doesn't happen that often. A lot of niche game fans never get that. And so when you have a game that you're passionate about, and then all of a sudden this new commercial comes out with a celebrity that you would have never expected to see endorsing the game, it gets you really hyped. It gets you really invested in the franchise because now everyone's talking about it. I think back to World of Warcraft. The commercials they used to put out for that. One of the greatest, honestly amazing, where the celebrities would come on, just a plain white background, and just be like,
Very
hey,
Apple-esque.
My name is so-and-so, and I play this character in World of Warcraft. And like every class had had a celebrity. They had Mr. T, well, for the warrior, but he said he was a night elf mohawk. And then when the director said, there's no such thing as a mohawk, like, what do you mean? Maybe Mr. T hacked the class and put a night elf mohawk into the game. What do you think about that, Mr. Condescending Director? It was just so funny. Like, it's just full-blown Mr. T. William Shatner was the shaman. Amazing. Yeah. I am William Shatner, and I am a shaman. an ancient conduit of the forces of nature. Like that kind of thing. It's they went all out, and so having this varied cast of celebrities all in one room to do something like this, amazing. I mean, you can't. It's funny. First of all, Ben Stiller crushes it in this role, and so to everyone else there. I can't believe they got John freaking Travolta. What for a gaming commercial? Like that's got to be a first as far as I know. I mean, the guy is an acting powerhouse, but somehow his casting director said, you know what, this is where you need to be. Yeah, God of War is hot right now.
And sometimes sometimes it's as simple as hey, I was there around filming that day. I decided to step in. A lot of times people do these things for free. So I know it sounds weird to think about that, but there have been several instances. I don't know any commercials off the top of my head, but I know a lot of cameo roles that get put in movies are often done pro bono or with no monetary compensation whatsoever. I think about specifically one of the movies we did. I think we did. It might have been slated on Gotta Watch, but we did. What was it? Can't Hardly Wait. Yeah.
That
had Melissa. Yep. And Melissa Joan Hart was in that, and she was that real bubbly cheerleader that was, or real bubbly girl that was trying to get everybody to sign her yearbook. She did that part for free because she couldn't do it like Brad was saying, contractually. She was contractually obligated to only appear in Sabrina the Teenage Witch at that time. So the contract basically allowed her to do something for free, right? They can't tell you can't do something for free. So sometimes that's the way they get around those contracts, is to say, hey, we'd love to have you, beyond this, unfortunately, we can't pay you, or, if you reach out to somebody, sometimes that might be the response that you get, like, hey, I'd love to do it. Unfortunately, I can't do it because I'm contractually obligated to this or that. So there are a lot of hoops to jump through in that case to get celebrities onto a project. And so oftentimes, like I said, just like you said, they love the product or love the game, and they just want the exposure, itself. So it's hard to say. I would imagine so that they definitely floated some money here to at least to Ben Stiller to get him dressed up like that.
Think about if you got asked to market a product that you love, right, or something that you're passionate about. I mean, you're instantly more willing to do it for less of a less of a cut, right? You know, if it's something you're not familiar with, you're like, yeah, show me the dollars. But if it's a game or something you love, I mean, me talking about candy bars, hell, just pay me in candy bars. I mean, come on.
Give the man an almond Snickers, peanut butter. Yeah.
Get satisfied.
Your supply. Come on.
What a value. Amazing stuff. Well, yeah,
I mean, great conversations. I want fun size. No fun size business. I want king size.
You've definitely moved on in that regard. But I'll tell you, it has been a great conversation. Yeah, I definitely recommend everyone check out that commercial because ones like that don't come around too often in the gaming space, and when they do, they're definitely worth celebrating and appreciating. So thanks to Ben, John, and also LeBron. And Ben, John, and LeBron. There's a comedy.
Hey,
there's a comedy for you. It's Ben, John, and LeBron on UPN 20. That's not a network anymore. No.
On UPN 20. That is such a throwback to the East Coast. Brad has no idea what letters you just spouted out. He was like, what? Because that's right. If
they became the CW ultimately.
They did become the CW. No, they became the WB. Oh. And then they became the CW.
Well, I mean, it was WB multi-phase evolution. It was the Charmander to its Charizard.
That's very true. It did. It did evolve. But that's how we watch things like Smart Guy and all the Family Matters and the great black television of the 90s that they refused to put anywhere else. UPN was like, we'll take it, and your boy was there.
Yeah, for sure. I know UPN.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Totally a network. Well, I'll tell you totally one network. I'll tell you one network, boys, that's still around, and that is the QTB network, which you can find exclusively on our website, quitthebuild.com/network. Check out all of our amazing network lineup shows, like our friends over at 1 Hour, 1 Decision, and Xbox Game Pass Review podcast. We've got the Gotta Watch podcast. We've got all your hits. What else we got over there, Brad?
The merch page. It's officially November. Mariah Carey's back, and you know what that means. You gotta get the QTB ugly Christmas sweater or shirt version. We've got them both. You gotta go to the merch page. You gotta find it. We got a variety of colors, a variety of styles. Get yours now before the holiday season gets busy, because you're gonna want to have it for those parties and rep with the build at all your holiday functions. Go there and
Brad is selling some merch. Oh yeah, go over there and get it, guys. Make sure you also stop by our blog. We got amazing content there on the blog. And of course, join the Discord. Go to our home any page, scroll to the bottom. There's a link to join our Discord. Be a part of our growing family of people that gamers that enjoy putting positivity, inclusivity, and having fun first. If you don't bring back that password theme, I don't know what just happened. We were vibing, we were dancing, and then he pushed. It just stopped.
It just goes away sometimes, but.
There we go. Okay. I can't. I'm going to stop the podcast at that point because I was in a pocket with this music. I'm telling you. Amazing stuff. Thank you, as always, to everyone for checking us out. Get on that website. Stop by our Discord. Stop by our live streams. TikTok. We've been having a lot of fun playing all sorts of fun games. Hope you can join us for the chaos. All three of us were on there playing Fall Guys at one point. That was a stream for the record books. My gosh.
Oh, we're going to do that again.
We're going to do it again.
The stream loved it. We're going to do it again.
Yes. Having a hype man for my karaoke sessions just took it to the next level.
Oh, yeah. I am gonna announce the heck out of you.
The play-by-play commentary.
If you want to see Nick do karaoke in Vegas, then go to quitthebuild.com.
Yes.
And join the community. Let us know everywhere. We'll get him to sing. I don't know. Something from Journey.
Something. Yeah. Something from Journey. That's what you do.
He's a small town girl living in a lonely world.
Well, I think we come to the end of our journey here, Bruno. So why don't you go ahead and take us out?
Well, here comes the sax solo. Because, we've gotten that deep into the song.
Yeah.
That there's a sax solo. Because remember in the 80s and 90s, they just threw it in there for fun. And that's what we're all about here on QTV Fun. Thanks so much for joining us. For Nick and Brad, I'm Bruno.
For Bruno and Brad, I'm Nick.
For Nick, Bruno, and all those Snicker almonds out there, I'm Brad.
Oh, if you want peanut butter, you know where to go. Peace out. What a deal.
Quit the Build.